Sawadee and welcome to another episode here for the FunkyPod Mindful Media and Communication. And you see from the title, you see from, hey, what's up, Snooze? You can hear my cat complaining in the background. You see from the title, it's a very niche episode today. So if you're not into that kind of thing, apologies. But I'm doing this because I think reflection matters. I do lots of reflection with my students during the semester, at the end of the semester. Like, what did you do? What did you learn? Why did you do that? Why did you feel like that? How did it make you feel? What did you take away from it? And all those things, right? So I think reflection is very important to grow as a student, as a professor, as a human being. And because there's no one else around that I could reflect to, I'm using this platform. I'm using you, dear audience, to reflect with you, towards you, all together, share what I learned. Maybe if you are an educator, you can take something away from you. Maybe you have some feedback for me. Be like, hey, those negatives that you shared, maybe you can learn something from that. It isn't that way. So I'm happy to hear your thoughts and maybe share what you learned this past semester. If you finish a semester, this past school year, whatever, wherever you're at. I think reflecting is very, 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 very crucial as we all grow together. And so, yeah, let's jump right into my reflection. So here it goes. Reflection this past semester. What did I learn? What did I wish? What worked well? What didn't work so well? What did I wish to would have done better? That's not the right grammar, but I'm not in a class. So let's jump into it. I said that 3 times. So the courses I taught, just to like for context, right? But I don't think that the courses themselves matter that much. But so I mean, I work at the Faculty of Communication, Journalism, and so on, right? So it's all like very communication heavy. And obviously, student audience is all Gen Z, so they're all very tech savvy, obviously. So we're using lots of technology in all those classes. So that's one thing. The courses I had this semester were media and social diversity, which was like crazy exciting, I think, with a crazy cool final exhibition at the very end. And another one was writing for broadcasting, where I focused though on more like the applied part, because a colleague is doing like all the theoretical part. So I focus more on the applied part, making them actually create. They call it broadcasting, but it's because the syllabus hasn't been updated in forever. Making them like actually create content like podcasts, videos, like script writing, whatnot, like all those things. Okay. Okay. So that's the courses. And a few other courses then that I worked in as a guest lecturer, like Introduction to Digital Marketing, for example, entrepreneurship courses as well. So I throw them all together. Of course, I could reflect on each and all of them, but I just try to look at like the grand scheme of things for right now. While my cat, that ran away yesterday, by the way, is freaking out somewhere behind me. So don't be distracted. Don't focus on them. Focus on me. It's like in class. Don't focus on anything else. Focus on me. So let me start with like the things that didn't go as planned, that I didn't enjoy as much, and there are as much my fault as they maybe probably even more my fault than like the fault of others. But still, let me rant for a second, then I'll tell you how I think I could have done that better. So one thing that that's the one thing that bothers me when it comes to interaction with students and so on. And I love being in the class. I mean, that's why I do it. Like class time is the best time. Okay, so I love being in the class. The thing though, like there is this, and I sound like an old person, I hate it, but there's this growing entitlement about feeling entitled to good grades, to like instant access to everything. Like as an example, right? So we use a LMS, Learning Management System. We use MS Teams. Not much of a system, but we use MS Teams, okay? So then I put up an assignment, deadline, I know 3 weeks from now. Then students don't hand it in, so they get 0 points. Once they see they got 0 points, then they, of course, all panic and text you at night. And if you don't reply within like a few hours, they're like, didn't you reply to me? And things like that. So if you grade them, and then, I know, one gets an A, the other one gets a B+, one gets the C or whatever. They're like, well, I feel like I should have gotten a better grade. And this entitlement is just something that I'm not used to from, obviously not my time as a student, which is forever ago. I would never DM my professor. I would maybe go to make an appointment to see him in his office if I had a really important question, or I would write a polite email that I would freak out about for hours before I send it. not just like DM, yeah, hey, prof, I think I should have a better grade. Yeah, and I think that, but I mean, I haven't even seen that 5 years ago. So I think that is really like, has increased. And I talked with colleagues about it probably during COVID, where everyone was just online and that's just how you grew up. So maybe that's a thing. I wouldn't be surprised. But yes, that's just one thing that's just a bit nerve-wracking. The entitlement and just the lack of manners. If I now sound really like an old person, but manners go a long way. Okay, and the whole thing affects just like effectiveness. Because if you're getting like DMs all the time, like I don't know, this semester probably I had contact with like 200 students on a regular basis, right? If you're getting DMs all the time, like that really, it affects the class preparation, it affects the time you can put into researching everything. The mood, you don't want your mood to be affected, but of course it affects the mood as well, because you have to answer all the time. So that was like one of the negative things I encountered this semester. I also recognized, though, that I could organize it better, right? So because what good is it for me to whine about? That's not going to change it, right? So you always have two options, right? You can either you accept the way it is and you shut up. If you whine about it, cool, but then you have to do something, yeah? Whining and not doing something is not an option. So either if you don't want to do anything, if you don't want to change anything, you'll be quiet. If you whine, if you complain like me right now, you have to change something. So the next semester, I got to do better. Right? I have to be better organized. I have to maybe make the rules or the structure of the courses even clearer. Got to establish better communication channels, maybe not just say like DM me if you've got a question. Maybe have like a guideline like how to do this. Like if you have great questions, ask me in class. So I'm going to have to like think about it more and have like maybe a better structure in place to avoid this constant DMing, for example. The entitlement, I also recognize that it comes just with the generation and with like constant access on social media and whatnot. So it's also part of it. So I have to plan accordingly, right? So I cannot just whine about it and hate everything. No, I'm realizing it, changing also my personal mindset. Right? I have to change that too. I cannot be like, oh, that's so annoying. Got to adapt to it because that's what I signed up for. And that's the challenge. Challenges are good. Challenges make it better. Challenge accepted. Speaking of challenges, though, because it's a student challenge. So with student challenges, I'm good because I like being with students. I like teaching. I like seeing them grow. I like seeing them learn. I like seeing them going like, I understood something. It's awesome. Okay, so I love it. Challenges I don't love are admin challenges. Cool. Getting things approved in the year 2024 is a bit ridiculous. I mean, generally speaking, not pointing fingers, but I mean, we see the advent of AI, for example, is everywhere. And I'm not getting any AI tools approved, for example. So I all paid out of my own pocket. That's why I started the AIcomlab.com. If you want to collaborate with me / us, my students, reach out if you want to sponsor something because we're not getting anything from anywhere else. Kind of crazy. Requesting like budget and things like this just gets completely shut down. And you're like, you don't want to be left behind, but you're not investing in the future. That's frustrating. And even if I change my mindset, it's not going to change, unfortunately. So that's the challenge that is a bit annoying from like a back end kind of thing, if I might say like this. And the last thing that will never change, and I did adjust my mindset a lot, but I still want to put it out there so that maybe, I know someone hears it or just shares something and like how you handle it. We have 3-hour lectures, which is obviously crazy because you cannot lecture for 3 hours. I don't lecture for 3 hours. I usually break it up into like a shorter lecture part and then like a bigger like group work / applied work, activity-based guidance, if you will, active learning sessions. But so 3 hours, locking teenagers or early 20s, is this thing, in a room for 3 hours with a teacher, with a professor. I don't think that's the best format. I still think that's effective, even though we're trying to adjust, of course, as teachers, lecturers. But alternative formats would be like making the sessions like half as long and having 2 of them per week, for example, might be easier. But that's obviously less convenient for everybody because you have to travel more often to the faculty, for example. But yeah, it's just 3 hours is so crazy long in my opinion. But hey, enough of the whining and complaining. Let's talk about the positives. What did I take away? What positive things did I take away? One thing I took away is that students do appreciate, even though there's entitlement and they want to have access all the time. That's not because they're mean or anything. That's just because that's what they're used to, right? So it's not like they're saying, I'm gonna bother my professor. Professor, of course not. It's just the way they're used to communicate like that. So deal with it, adapt to it, help them to get better. I did see that they do appreciate if you put in effort. Like my classes always change, and I never do the same class over and over and over again. And I'll adapt to like what they like, for example, what they're into, the examples I use, the case studies I use, and so on, and like the activities we do. And if they voice a concern, for example, they did this semester. They said, okay, Ajan, Ajan means professor in Thai. We see what you're doing there. The structure is clear in the syllabus, but we're having so many things to do right now. Would it be possible to adjust the assignments a little? Then I looked at it. I'm like, okay, I see what you're saying. If you're all working together well right now and you're doing this next assignment well, I'm gonna adjust. I'm gonna take out one of the other assignments that is to the left. I take one out. I'm gonna adjust a little bit. I'm gonna give you something else with less work effort, but more thought effort maybe. So yeah, we're a team there. It's not that I'm handing them the grades, but I listen. I say, okay, you're making a good point. We're the faculty of communication. So if you communicate your thoughts well, I'm happy. Let me think about it. It makes sense. All for it. And students appreciate it. And then they work hard. They're like, okay, let's work hard right now. Let's prove that we deserve it. That was great. I really enjoyed seeing that. It was really nice. That was like made me happy, made me smile. It was very nice. So students do appreciate it. Even though we say, oh, those young kids, they do appreciate it. You just have to let them see that you're actually trying. You don't just be like, do your standardized PowerPoint bullet point BS, because no one wants to see that, right? So if you try, they will appreciate it. It was nice to see. I was very happy with that. Good job, everyone. I also realized that practical applications are like a thing that the students enjoyed quite a lot. Like I said, we are in media and social diversity, for example, we had a fine exhibition that blew my expectations out of the water. That was really, 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 really well done. Didn't expect that it would go that well. So if you give the students some creativity, some freedom to work with their creativity, and something that they can actually do and touch and see and feel, they're going all in, which was really nice to see. Now, that doesn't mean that every class has to be like that all the time, because of course we need theoretical frameworks, we need to understand theories and so on. And we tried in this class too, of course. But it was just nice to see that once you let them loose, they flourish. And that's what you want, right? You want to prepare them in class, give them all the tools, and then they go out, use those tools and make magic. And it was really nice to see. Again, well done, awesome, very happy with that. But I do think, of course, there needs to be like a balance between like theoretical background studies and, of course, an applied stuff. You cannot just go one way or the other completely, obviously. I think I have 2-3 more that I want to share, learnings, positives. I implement more and more like reflection, as I mentioned in the intro, but also feedback loops. So I'm working way more with feedback loops now. And I think that's very important, because then students understand right away, hey, what I'm looking for. And what I'm looking for is usually, or I explain what I'm looking for based on in real world situations. I'm not just randomly looking for whatever. I said, like, I'm looking for this because of that. If I do this, students understand why, what we're doing, okay? And then when they're handing in assignments, for example, if they have questions in general about class, if they didn't understand anything, I'll try to understand, like, where are you coming from? I see, for example, you're handing in an assignment. The assignment doesn't really meet the criteria. Then you're not just getting half the points or whatever, or like a low score. You get an explanation, and I'm like, I see where you're coming from. However, that was not the question. You should be da 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 da, and then giving feedback on like all those different parts that they missed or that they also did well at. Like, I'm not just saying like, here, full score. I'm saying, hey, you got a good score right now because of feedback. The students, they appreciate the feedback. Yeah, it's not just like, here, score and then live your life. It's like, score, but hey, that's why. Okay, so you actually learn something while getting those scores. So I think feedback loops, quite exhausting to implement, not gonna lie. It takes lots of time, but totally worth it, I think. And it improves the overall learning outcome dramatically, in my opinion. So using feedback loops, definitely something that I would recommend, and I will keep doing in like this more or less more elaborate manner, to be honest. So continuous feedback, I think, should be integrated in any kind of teaching, and really, really helps to improve the overall teaching / learning outcome. So that was pretty nice to see that actually worked. Even so, it was a bit weird at the beginning for the students, I think, to get that much feedback from a professor, because they're not used to that, I think, to like always be in contact, like always get something. And they usually only contact one way. They say, want to complain, but they're actually getting feedback all the time. Something new, I think, but I think that's very, very helpful for both of us, because they, again, get the feedback, and I see where they're at in their learning journey. So I can intervene. I don't have to wait until the very end, until they maybe fall off the cliff and it's too late. I can see, oh, they're running towards something that I don't want them to run towards right now. Let me help them, guide them back a little, right? You can still keep running, but like, let me just show you maybe the direction a little bit, change a little bit, rather than just wait until they run against the wall, fall off the cliff, and then it's too late. Okay. All right. So reflections, I think, are a great feedback are a great thing to do, hand in hand with reflections. What I just said early on. So I do reflections not just at the end of the semester. I do it like after bigger assignments. I do like mini reflections after like with assignments, with bigger assignments that I have. Then I do them at the midterm exam time, and I do them at the end again. But like I said, mini reflections in between to see how everyone's feeling, how they think that impacted their learning journey. Why did we do this right now? What did they learn from it, and so on. Again, reflections, I think, very underestimated tool to actually enhance overall growing. It's not just about the stuff that you actually like memorize, obviously, because it's not about memorizing things. It's about like growing as an individual, and then taking, of course, what you learn in class with you. And I think reflections, very, 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 very important. Feedback loops, feedback and reflection hand in hand together. It's one of the best teaching tools, I think, that I'm using these days. And this just leads me to the last point. I've been doing this now for 10 years, the teaching thing, and I love it as much as ever. So as soon as I enter the classroom and I grab the mic and we go, let's go, I'm like, yes, I'm happy. This is what I want to do. So just big thank you to like everyone who's made it work up until now, everyone who came to class, who gave me the opportunity with not much background in teaching to actually start teaching 10 years ago. And now I want to say I have hopefully like a huge, like, I know, array of resources in this regard, but back then. So yeah, still loving it, still enjoying it. I had lots of fun this semester, can't wait for next semester. Excitement. That's all I wanted to say with this reflection, at the end. It's all about being excited. It's really cool. When students go, it's the best thing ever. You just heard my cat do the same thing. It's the best things ever. Okay. Last part of this episode today is just lessons learned and a few future ideas, right? So learning future ideas. So I said it earlier, I got to adapt to students' needs better. So I'm going to have some strategies in place, how to handle this entitlement, that's how I call it, right, a bit more effectively, giving them a bit more structure on like how to approach me, maybe even like when to approach for certain things, making this a bit clearer. I think that's going to help a lot and going to make it like easier for them and for me as well. Maybe even like have some changes in like communication, like saying like, hey, DMs only if or only from to then, or and maybe we like put out some grading policies so that there are less questions about grading, for example. Even though I have like elaborate explanations in every single assignment, maybe just like an overall grading policy that everyone can refer to would be easier. Let's see about that. So I'm going to adapt to that, of course. When it comes to the admin hurdles, well, since the internal funding and stuff doesn't work, I created a website, for example, aicomlab.com. If you're into like any kind of AI and communication, if you want to be involved, if you're like a big company that wants to be involved, get access to students' research papers, my research papers, student research. you could get interns and so on. Get in touch, aicomnet.com. There's all the contacts, faculty contacts, my contacts, everything is on there. Reach out. See, I'm changing mindset. If I don't get it internally, we're getting it externally. Let's get to it and do it. So reach out, get in touch, would be fantastic. Lastly, I also, and big shout out, and I've been saying that many times, but still big shout out to the D School, because of Stanford, because ever since I took that long course at the D School on like innovative teaching methods, I just keep trying to be innovative. Like, I'm not sure if I am very innovative, but I try to implement new ideas, new things in every single class that I'm doing, changing teaching styles, changing lecture formats, changing activities, experimenting a lot. And that's what I took away from doing this course at Stanford with the D School. So D School people, you know who you are. Thank you very much for that. I'm still inspired by it even 2 years later, and I'm not going to stop. And I just love experimenting in class and more experimenting to come for sure. So that's what I'm very much looking forward to for the next semester. I think that kind of concludes my quick reflection / recap here. Next episode will be again about like media and mindful communication as usual, as you're used to, of course. But for now, if you're an educator or if you're a student in education, if you're a student or an educator or someone involved in education, I would love to hear your feedback. What did you learn this past year, semester, module, whatever you call what you're doing? And what are some of your learning, some of your I know the points that stress you out. What are some of the positive takeaways? How do you going to change your approach next semester, next module, next year? Shout out would be cool in the comments at funkitpod on social media, funkitpod@gmail.com. If you want a direct line, like, share, subscribe, leave a review. That would be cool so we reach more educators, students, but also other people. Until then, stay safe, take care, and we talk next time.